Queen Elizabeth II's Christian faith was ingrained in her from a very young age, forming the bedrock of her character and the way she approached life, both personally and as a monarch. She was born into a world of duty, tradition, and strong moral principles, but it was her mother, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who played the most significant role in instilling Christian values in her. The Queen Mother was a devout Anglican who believed deeply in the power of prayer and in the teachings of Jesus Christ, particularly the virtues of compassion, humility, and the importance of service to others. This upbringing ensured that Elizabeth grew up with a clear sense of responsibility and an unwavering dedication to the Church of England. As Elizabeth ascended to the throne in 1952, following the sudden death of her father, King George VI, her faith became even more crucial. The gravity of her new role as monarch was compounded by the religious responsibilities it entailed. Not only did she inherit the position of Queen of the United Kingdom, but she also became the supreme governor of the Church of England. This dual role meant that her personal beliefs were intertwined with her public duties, and her Christian faith became a central theme throughout her reign. Her coronation in 1953 was a deeply religious ceremony filled with ancient rituals that underscored the spiritual authority of the monarchy. The moment when she was anointed with holy oil, symbolizing her consecration as a servant of God, was especially significant and deeply moving to her. Throughout her reign, Queen Elizabeth II saw her role as divinely ordained. She often referred to the importance of faith in giving her the strength to meet the challenges of being a sovereign. Whether dealing with political crises, personal loss, or the evolving nature of the monarchy, she always sought guidance and wisdom from her belief in God. This faith was not just a passive part of her life, it was something she actively engaged with, continuously seeking ways to live out her Christian principles through her actions. The role of faith in her public life. Queen Elizabeth II's public life was, in many ways, a reflection of her private beliefs. One of the most visible manifestations of her faith came in the form of her annual Christmas broadcasts. These messages, a tradition that began with her grandfather, King George V, allowed the Queen to speak directly to her people. Over the decades, her Christmas speeches became moments of reflection on the values of kindness, forgiveness, unity, and faith, often drawing from her understanding of Christian teachings. Her words carried significant weight, not only because of her position, but because she spoke from a place of deep personal conviction. In her Christmas broadcasts, Queen Elizabeth often reflected on the role of faith in overcoming adversity. For example, in the year 2000, the Queen spoke about the importance of forgiveness, highlighting it as a cornerstone of Christian teaching. This message came at a time of great global tension as the world looked toward a new millennium with both hope and uncertainty. The Queen's focus on forgiveness resonated not only with Christians, but with people of all faiths, as she emphasized the healing power that comes with letting go of anger and resentment. She encouraged her listeners to consider the example of Jesus Christ, whose message of love and redemption was at the heart of her own belief system. In another notable Christmas message, in 2012, Queen Elizabeth II focused on the theme of service, drawing parallels between her own life of duty and the example of Jesus as a servant leader. She acknowledged that while her position as queen came with great privilege, it also carried a profound responsibility to serve her people. This message was particularly poignant as it came during the celebrations of her Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years on the throne. Her reflections on service resonated with many, as she had, by then, become a symbol of steadfast dedication to the people of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth. Beyond her Christmas messages, Queen Elizabeth's faith influenced how she approached major events in her reign. Whether it was times of national mourning, such as the death of Princess Diana in 1997, or moments of celebration like royal weddings, the Queen consistently turned to her faith for strength and guidance. Her public expressions of faith offered comfort to many, especially during difficult times, reinforcing her role not just as a monarch, but as a moral and spiritual leader. Queen Elizabeth II's personal faith. Despite her highly public role, Queen Elizabeth II's personal faith was deeply private. While she often spoke about her beliefs in public forums, she was not one to flaunt her spirituality. Instead, her faith was something that guided her quietly, a source of inner strength and solace that sustained her throughout her long life. Those closest to her often remarked on how she would start and end each day with prayer, a routine that helped her stay grounded amid the pressures of being one of the most recognized figures in the world. The Queen's devotion to prayer was well known among her household staff and family members. She believed in the power of prayer, not just for personal guidance, but also for the well-being of her family, her nation, and the world. Her prayer life was disciplined, and she regularly read the Bible, seeking comfort and wisdom from its passages. The Queen's well-worn Bible was a testament to her long hours spent reflecting on Scripture, drawing from it the moral and spiritual lessons that she applied to her life and reign. In addition to her prayer life, Queen Elizabeth II held a profound belief in the teachings of Jesus Christ. She often spoke of Christ's message of love, peace, and service as a model for how she wished to live her own life. Her belief in the afterlife and the hope of eternal salvation was central to her worldview. Throughout her reign, she conveyed this belief subtly, yet consistently, in her speeches and actions, always mindful of the ultimate accountability she felt to God. One of the most personal aspects of Queen Elizabeth II's faith was her belief in the second coming of Christ. Like many Christians, she held on to the hope that one day Christ would return to earth to bring peace and justice. She reportedly expressed a desire to witness this event during her lifetime, even once stating that she would like to lay her crown at his feet. This imagery captured the Queen's deep sense of humility and her recognition that despite her earthly power and status, she saw herself as a servant of a higher authority. Spiritual leadership beyond the Church of England. While Queen Elizabeth II held the title of Supreme Governor of the Church of England, her spiritual influence extended far beyond the Anglican Communion. Throughout her reign, she made efforts to reach out to other religious communities, recognizing that as the world became more diverse, so too did the spiritual landscape of her realm. The Queen understood the importance of promoting interfaith dialogue and fostering unity among people of different faiths, especially in a world increasingly marked by religious conflict and division. The Queen's respect for other faiths was evident in her numerous engagements with religious leaders from various traditions. She met with leaders of Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and many other faiths during her reign, always showing a deep respect for their beliefs and practices. Her approach to interfaith dialogue was not merely ceremonial. She genuinely believed that people of different faiths could learn from one another and work together for the common good. This belief was particularly important in the context of the Commonwealth, where countries with vastly different religious traditions coexist under the shared legacy of British rule. Her commitment to interfaith cooperation was also reflected in her support for organizations that promoted religious harmony. One of the most notable examples of this was her support for the Interfaith Network for the UK, an organization dedicated to fostering understanding between different religious communities. The Queen believed that despite theological differences, all faiths shared a common commitment to principles such as compassion, respect, and the promotion of peace. Through her advocacy, she encouraged dialogue and cooperation between religious groups, hoping to build a more harmonious society where people of all faiths could live together in mutual respect. Queen Elizabeth II's philanthropic work, rooted in faith. Queen Elizabeth II's Christian faith was not only a source of personal comfort and guidance, but also a driving force behind her extensive charitable work. Throughout her reign, she served as patron to hundreds of charities, many of which focused on issues that aligned with her Christian values. Her charitable work was vast, ranging from supporting organizations that aided the poor and vulnerable to those that promoted education, health, and the arts. This commitment to philanthropy was deeply rooted in her belief in the Christian duty to help those in need. One of the organizations closest to the Queen's heart was the Mothers' Union, a Christian organization dedicated to promoting family life and supporting women and children. As patron of the Mothers' Union, Queen Elizabeth II took a special interest in its mission to improve the lives of families around the world. The organization's focus on Christian values, particularly its emphasis on love, respect, and the importance of stable family life, resonated deeply with the Queen, who saw family as the cornerstone of society. Another significant area of the Queen's charitable work was her involvement with humanitarian organizations such as the British Red Cross. The Queen believed that charity was not just about giving material aid, but also about showing love and compassion to every individual. Her Christian faith taught her that every person was made in the image of God, and therefore deserving of dignity and respect. This belief guided her charitable efforts as she sought to use her position to make a positive impact on the lives of others. The Message from Jesus, a profound encounter. As Queen Elizabeth II's life drew to a close, rumors began to circulate that she had received a divine message from Jesus Christ. While these claims remain speculative, they have sparked widespread fascination, especially given the Queen's well-known Christian beliefs. The idea that Jesus would deliver a message to the Queen shortly before her death has led many to wonder what such a message might have entailed and what its significance might be. If such an encounter did occur, it would have been an intensely personal and spiritual moment for the Queen. Throughout her life, she had expressed a deep belief in the return of Christ, and a message from him in her final moments would have been a powerful affirmation of her faith. Some have speculated that the message was related to the Second Coming, an event the Queen had long anticipated. This possibility has fueled further interest in the story, with some suggesting that the Queen may have received insight into the timing of Christ's return. Regardless of whether this encounter took place, the idea that Queen Elizabeth II might have received a message from Jesus speaks to the profound spiritual connection she maintained throughout her life. It reinforces the image of a monarch who was deeply committed to her faith and who saw herself, above all else, as a servant of God. Hope ye for Christ's return. One of the most touching aspects of Queen Elizabeth II's faith was her unwavering hope for the second coming of Christ. Throughout her life, she held on to the belief that one day Jesus would return to earth to restore peace and justice. This hope provided her with a sense of purpose and a deep conviction that no matter how difficult the world's challenges might be, ultimate redemption was on the horizon. This belief was not merely theological, but shaped how the Queen approached her duties. She saw her role as monarch as one of stewardship, a temporary position of power that she would one day relinquish in favor of Christ's eternal reign. This perspective allowed her to maintain a sense of humility, despite the immense power and responsibility that came with her role.